Well, we're doing it again. We're back at it. I'm your friendly neighborhood non-duality teacher, Buddhism and meditation teacher. And this is the Monk Life Meditation Institute here in Dalat, Vietnam. Very high up in the sky. It's a beautiful view. And it's a present moment experience. There's something undeniable about that. There's something stupid about yourself and myself, And, homage to the Triple Gem, Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sammasambuddhassa, homage to the Buddha, the fully enlightened one, the totally enlightened one, the one who's not suffering anymore. You know what? I don't need a teacher, but to be with someone who's not suffering anymore, really or seemingly, maybe I can get something from that. Maybe I can appreciate something about that. What they say, just this cappuccino here. Yes, thank you very much. Wow, can I eat this flower? Can I eat it? You eat it? Ooh, not good. Give the flower to the Buddha. I actually, this morning, I had my own chance to make a donation because I saw the Buddhist nun, the Buddhist female monk, and she herself was purchasing the morning pastries for the community of Truc Lam here in Dalat, Vietnam. And I went up to her and I went over there. And I said, Suko, I said, monk, you're not paying for that when I'm here. And I look back to that time, when I was an auspicious representative of Buddhism, but now I'm just living my life. There's nothing that great about that. But it's a cultural thing, you know what I mean? And if we're coming from the Western culture, a lot of us, maybe we weren't raised up in an environment where there were people who represented meditation or represented wisdom or represented compassion or represented virtue. I just had SpongeBob growing up. SpongeBob represented to me a way to avoid my suffering. I didn't want to turn the TV off because I couldn't face the suffering inside of myself because I didn't know that could even be done in any capacity at any time. So it was just SpongeBob and coping. And I made a decision in 2025 of this day, of this time, of this now. I made a decision. I said, I'm not coping anymore. I'm not going to keep coping. I'm going to open the treasure box of direct experiencing that's not based in a self. We've been talking about I was thinking about this recently. We've been talking about this meditation and non-duality and Zen Buddhism and enlightenment and awakening, but really, what are we getting out of this? Where's this going? It's not going anywhere. We're not getting anything out of it. And I think that's a very important part of the message, an important part of the way of practicing and being, that it's not going anywhere, that we're never going to get anything out of it. This self idea is a kind of stupidity, something that we have to get over. without there being someone to get over it. So how are you going to do that? You know, that's why, what's the point to meditate? What's the point to teach meditation? I mean, you know, I want to help people out. I want to be a good person, but as Mr. Jim Newman would say, there's nobody to help, Rob. So I try to embody that in my own life, you know. My failure as a monk, my failure as a social media icon, my failure of being someone. I'm constantly failing to be someone. The someone I want to be, the someone I don't want to be. It just all falls apart of itself. You know, maybe that's part of what the Buddha was talking about when it came to impermanence, you know. And at the beginning, that idea, that word, those words that say, look, man, look, lady, everything that you love is going to burn down. Everything that you love is going to be ended. And at the beginning, we get a little bit defensive about that, and maybe it doesn't sound like a good deal. But that's the way that it is, and the more that we open up to the way that it is, the more that we can see that there's no necessity for separation in this direct experience. You know what I mean? We're always thinking about, you know, what's that person gonna think about me? What's that person gonna say? How you doing, buddy? All right. What's gonna happen to that situation, that experience? Look at all these people and what they might be thinking about. And that's an illusion. That's not really happening. Or maybe it is, who knows? You know, don't try to force yourself to understand the whole world, because it's probably not going to work out. And if you can't understand the whole world, how does that make you feel inside? How much you don't know, how much you don't understand. How much you can't control. You want to practice meditation, you want to get enlightened, you want to have a special insight into the non-duality, the truth. Well, let me tell you something. You're going to have to give that up. You're going to have to give that away, whatever it is. Willingly or unwillingly, you're going to have to give it away. This is the tough truth. is your life. And this doesn't have anything to do with you. Or bypassing, spiritual bypassing. You know, I'm going to bypass my foot up your spiritual ass. How about that? Spiritual bypassing. Who are you to tell me what to do? Who are you to tell me what's true or what's real or what's not? Everybody's a liar. And you're the biggest liar of all, so you can't trust yourself and you can't trust anybody. Then it's a matter of how deep. Nobody is willing to look into this experience that isn't really anything in particular. You have to decide that for yourself. That isn't there. Like what if okay, you go outside and you see a face in a cloud and you say, hey, do you see that face? Yeah, I see that face too. So we got two dumb idiots together talking about nonsense, something that's not there. So it is there and it isn't there, isn't it? So what are you going to do about that? It's true and it's not true. What are you going to do about that? It's important and it's not important. What are you going to do about that? Here's a little secret. You don't have to do anything. You can't do anything. There's nobody home. You want to hear a Buddhist knock-knock joke? Let's try it out. Usually this doesn't work. Let's try. Knock-knock. Try again. Knock-knock. No one. So why am I doing this? Why are you doing this? What's going on here? Well, first of all, do we really care that much? There's nobody there, there's nobody knocking. You hallucinated the whole thing. It never happened. That's what some of these non-duality guys say. Nothing ever happened. Nothing ever happened. Blah, 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 blah. Nobody cares what you think. Nobody cares what you believe. Shut your mouth. Okay, I've shut it. I'm sorry. Who's that? It's your illusion in your own mind. Cheers, cheers. We're looking for attention. What do we really want? We're animals. We want sex. We want good sex. We want good pleasure. We want a script of opiates. We want a script of Oxycontin. So just take a break for a day or two. What's that gonna hurt? We want pleasure. We want status. We want recognition. We want money. So who are you when it's not about you wanting something? Who's that? Not who knocked. Who doesn't want anything? Who's that? You got to get this out of you. You've got to get you out of you. The silence is the listener and the speaker. What's it like for you to be as genuine as you possibly can? What's it going to take for you to be as generous as you possibly can be? Think about the kind of lives that people are living. Everybody's working for themselves, or they're just disassociating their self into oblivion through consumption. What about the children? What about the people with disabilities? What about the animals? What about the environment? So all of these are access points to going beyond the kind of, the stupidity of the self. The nature, the natural, the green and the bird sound and the cloud and the tree. People have to remember this isn't a conversation. You can't talk to a tree. You can't talk to the sky. You can't talk to me. You're not allowed to talk to me. If we happen to be in a situation where we are talking to each other, we are in a world of illusion. And we need to be reprimanded to the prison of reconciling non-self with story. I wasn't a Buddhist monk for 7 years so that random people online could think that they're equal to me. And don't you dare agree with me when I say that. Don't complain about what people are doing. Don't complain about how fat you are and how unhealthy you are and how repulsive you are. Don't complain about other people being that way. Don't think about it. Use it as another excuse to go into your direct experiencing. That's the best thing that we can do, is to experience something that we can't hold on to. And what we don't realize, because we believe in ourselves, is that nothing can be held on to. And these people that sit in here and they hang out for a little bit and then they get up and leave, if it was up to me, the moment that you walked out that door, you would be imprisoned in a cell deep underground for 1 hour. To think about your life, to meditate upon your direct experience. If it was up to me, this would be broadcasts. I'm not here to be understood, pal. Just here to give. And to receive substantial financial contributions. Thank you very much, Rose. May that donation bring a wave of generosity across this entire globe. This is a niche subject, and the more people that understand it, the more wrong that they are. So I'm not here to help anybody understand anything. Unless you're a substantial donor and volunteer and practitioner, then I'll do what I can to put salt on your wound, medicinal salt. The truth is that this is outside of the bounds and the norms of conventions, conventionality, story, idea, belief. This is to elicit a trauma response as much as it is to elicit a peace response. You're not going to heal the trauma if you can't feel it. You're not going to be able to be free from peace unless you can put your foot in it. We're not lighthearted here. We're concerned with the truth and the ending of all suffering and the ending of all thoughts, for that matter. They say you can't be extreme about it, but I'd rather you don't think while you're here. I'm not looking for thinkers. I'm looking for serious donors and serious practitioners. And if you don't like that, I don't care, because I'm not really looking for anything. You want to learn about the truth? Good luck. This can't be learned about. This can't be thought about. This can't be understood. If you understand it, you're wrong. Look to the wrongness of your thinking, not to the rightness of your thinking. You want to know what a good thought is? A thought of thinking about not thinking of anything at all. It's a contradiction, not a contraction.
What is?
Yeah, water is good. Well, water's not really good or bad. These are the non-duality teachings. You're looking for a quick fix. You're looking for somebody that's going to shake their butt. Or you're not. Maybe I got the wrong person. Maybe I got the wrong idea about you. Maybe I need help. Maybe I need professional help. Maybe I need psychological help. So give it to me. What kind of drug are you using? You have to begin doing things that you don't like to do. That's the most important thing, because until you do things that don't have anything to do with you liking them, you won't get to experience how irrelevant what you like is to your freedom, which is most important. If you're doing drugs, it's not so important. That's why you have a problem with it, because you take it so importantly. And you might need to die. Someone said, you don't need help, man, you've always been cool. And I wonder how much money they have in their bank account. Maybe they could make a donation on PayPal. You know what kind of help I like from anonymous random people? I like the kind of help where they come up to me and said, "Hey, I'm here to help you," and I say, "Fuck you. Don't you ever come near me ever again." Look, we're talking about comedy here. We're talking about having a good laugh and a good time. And a lot of people don't know what that is. You must be out of your mind. You think, I'm going to listen to some random anonymous person, bodiless person, some text-based entity that wants to come up to me and talk nonsense to me. You must be a drug addict. You must be psychotic to think that that's realistic. The government is an illusion in your own mind. There's no such thing as Donald Trump. There's no such thing as Congress or the Senate. There's no such thing as Bhante Warapano or Dr. Rob. You don't have anything. The only thing that you have is the confusion that you have something. And that's the only thing that you need to let go of. Then you'll stop ruining your life with drugs. You need to learn how to play. You need to learn how to shut your mouth and leave me alone. And you need to learn how to be generous. There's no interpersonal situation going on here. The only interpersonal situation that's available here is head from ass removal and foot to ass replacement surgery. "40 days and 40 nights. It won't work, but you got to live somewhere, right? So why not live at a monastery? Why not live at a meditation center instead of living in your shitty apartment and working at McDonald's or whatever the hell it is that you might be doing? Not human constructs. That is the same as believing in Donald Trump, or the same as believing that they're real things or that they're not real things. It's illusory. Your reality is a hallucination. Everything you see and hear and experience is a hallucinatory appearance. I was talking with Jim Newman, who's a very well-regarded non-dual teacher. And he said, "Look, Rob, and I said, the self is an illusion." And he said, "You know what? You're right. And anybody who believes in a self is a schizophrenic freak." And I said, I agree with that. The relief of not believing in yourself is the greatest relief to nobody. There's no such thing as brain rot because nobody has a brain. That's the conspiracy, that you have a body, that you're a person, that you have a life. That's the schizophrenic dream or nightmare that you find yourself in. You don't have a head, you don't have a face, you don't have a body, you don't have a life. These are just thoughts. If you look to your direct experience right now, which you can't, because there's no you, there's just the directness of this experience, which isn't even a thing, you will see that you is nothing. And then you can start to enjoy that. You can start to enjoy being nothing. You can start to enjoy not thinking. You can start to enjoy the suffering of your life, the miserableness of your life. Look, I don't care what drugs you take, meth, amphetamine, or whatever thought that you just believe in, and then, continue with your life. You have an idea. You believe in that idea. But are you willing to make a donation today? Or not? What you give, you get back. You want a good teacher, how about a bad teacher? Why don't you want that? Newsflash. The ending of thinking is always knocking at your door. And whether you answer it or not, you will stop thinking. You will die very, very soon. Paul Ball, you will die very, very soon. Because you will fall asleep. And where are you when you're in a dreamless sleep? Where do you go to when you fall asleep? Where do you come from when you wake up from a dreamless sleep? The fact of the matter is that you don't know what it's like to hold a sword when you're simply sitting in the stands of the Colosseum thinking about things. You're not generous enough to receive a pass. You're not generous enough to be spoken to. You're not generous enough to be entertained. You're not generous enough to be met where you are, because where you are is literally looking around in your colon and thinking that the feelings and the movements of your head moving around in your ass somehow has something to do with this. That's why we stop thinking about the situation and the people and the place, and we start experiencing what is free from thought. Or not, I don't care. Whatever you do is your business. Whatever I do is my business. The self doesn't want to hear these teachings. The identity, the ego, doesn't want to receive what's being said. And so we will employ many methods to make this into something that is based on our thoughts about it. You make yourself into the victim. You make yourself into the abuser. You arbitrarily make yourself into the person that's understanding this, or the person who doesn't understand this. Stop making up yourself. Nobody cares. Stop playing a game in somebody else's house. Go and live your own life. Or shut up and listen closely and deeply and reverently with all your heart and all your body and all your mind. Don't just hang around wasting time because you've got nothing better to do. The truth is that I was a Buddhist monk for 7 years. That's the truth. That's why I know about Buddhism and why I know about non-duality, why I know about meditation. But whether or not you believe it, this is not dependent upon what you think. This does not rely upon what you think or what you believe. Somehow we got convinced along the way that everybody is just some kind of imaginary Disney character. Okay, you know what character I'm going to play in the Disney movie? The serial killer that meets the Buddha and is forgiven and becomes a Sotapanna, becomes an enlightened being. We cover up, we push down all of these things that don't subscribe to our methodology of retardation. Then we become this caricature of a human being that limits us from depth. Okay? Can you hear that song? Can you hear that music? Can you feel it? Or is your heart arteries clogged up with the shittiness of your complicated thinking and your selfish life? You say, what can make me feel this way? My girl, talking about my girl. Top gaming laptop that's currently out that I've had my eye on for a while would be top would be something like the Legion Pro 7. But you'd get a very good deal with the Legion 5 Pro, 50 series, OLED screen. So you definitely shouldn't think that you're missing out if you go for the 5 Pro versus the 7. The teaching is to shut your mouth and listen. And if you don't want to be here, fuck off somewhere. You think I want to be an influencer? You think I want to be famous? You think I want to have students and mostly I want to be left alone. And what we're learning to do here is to leave each other alone together, concerned with enlightenment, and to stop being a pansy and a pussy and a punk. Grow some stones. Grow some horns. This ain't for armchair Buddhism, armchair spirituality, armchair social media influencing. This is hardcore, non-stop, full-on spider life. okay? When I was a kid, I was eating spiders and my own shit. What were you doing? Okay, I'm your favorite comedian, I'm your buddy guy. Make a donation on PayPal. Support your favorite content creators. Release your addiction to thoughts. There's no monetization value from YouTube here. The only monetization value here is from the sincere donors and fellow practitioners. This content doesn't reach anybody. This content is anti-reaching people. If I had a choice, I'd say fuck you to every person here. Stop looking for attention. Stop looking for something. Stop thinking. It's a good question, Skate. Think about it. Be with it. Experience it. I sure have. And I'm doing it now. I'm the Martin Luther King Jr. of American Buddhism. I'm here to help people to stop pretending that they know about things that they don't know about. And when someone comes along and pretends to know about something that they don't know about, it's my job to berate that person and get them the hell out of here, or get them to change their ways, one way or another. Let's change that into a $2,500 USD donation. 2,500 euro donation. Like feeding the birds in the water of the local forest. You just give, you just detach, you just abandon. Like burning fake money. Like watering flowers with piss. Get rid of your ego. Get rid of your confused and complicated ideas about people and places and situations. Don't believe anyone. Don't believe anything, so you can be safe. So you can be accurate. So that you can be beyond stories and narratives and belief systems. So that the government can't manipulate you anymore. The government of your schizophrenic self-fixation, your belief in separation. Was it satire that I was a Buddhist monk for 7 years? This is me making the best of a bad situation. And you can choose to be a sheep, or you can take on the authority of a wolf. and you can eat the sheep, and you can shit out fertilizer to the Garden of Eden that is this direct experiencing free of self, free of self-orientation, free of self-belief. If you cannot view it, then you will have to experience it without a view. Saunas are hot. Ice baths are cold. Feel it fully, whatever it is, to your deepest capacity. Feel it. And when you can't feel it, run away from it. And when you can't run away from it, put it on a leash and take it out for a walk. Let the spirits bite at it. You might be lucky enough to have a bigger dog be going by, and they'll eat and kill your problem. And you'll be carrying a leash with a corpse on it. And hopefully you can let that go before you go into your house. I'm a big bad dog. I'm a wolf. I'm a spiritual warrior. I'm a powerful entity in the astral realm. You will receive support. You will be able to receive support as much as you are generous, as much as you can sacrifice yourself, as much as you can do good deeds with mindfulness and detachment. Then you will be supportable. This is the guided meditation. This is the Dharma talk. This is the teaching. It's got nothing to do with you understanding it or not. Or you agreeing with it or not. Who cares if you agree with this or not? What the hell have you gotten into your mind? The truth is that everybody's a troll, and that the great spiritual masters are the greatest trolls. This is my Dharma talk. You want to complain about it? Find somebody who's experienced enough to levy a complaint. I'll go and see some people pretty soon that will be able to give me some feedback, some spiritual feedback, once I leave Vietnam and go to Australia. All right, that's what I like. And if only people like you choose to donate Fax Incognito, otherwise, I'm just a bum. Well, I think it is very potent. I think it is very helpful. I was in a call this morning with some totally degenerate teenage boys. And, we were doing our little show, our little Dr. Rob performance. You know, these kids, one kid sent $50. Another kid sent $25. They made some donations, probably the first time. You know, we think about these things in a certain way, but the way that we think about it is not the way that it is. It's only the way that it is in terms of the way that we've thought about it. And who really cares what we think about? Are we an astrophysicist? Where did all your thoughts go? I love to hear it. I love to hear it. You have to be challenged. You have to be kicked in the butt. I need to get a good job so that I can donate to my teacher, so that I can donate to Dr. Rob. Nobody has to do anything. And this isn't about swirling you around. We don't have that culture. I'm here to flush you, not to swirl you around. Don't be shy about your willingness and your want to give, but it's got nothing to do with me. But it can have something to do with different subjects, such as enlightenment or helping others, instead of just giving pleasure to ourselves by masturbating and watching pornography. I'll give you some money, Fax Incognito. Send me a message on WhatsApp. Send me an email. Leave a comment. I'll send you some money. What are you going to do about that? Stell Stargazes. When I donate to you. Nobody cares what you want, Sandy. Shut your mouth, whoever you are. This isn't about what you want or what you like. I like this, I like this, I like this. I'd rather hear a bird singing in my ear or see the mountain over there. Thank God I'm not a missionary. I'm a destroyer. I'm a liberator. I'm an ender. I'm a forgiver. I'm a blesser. I'm an eviscerator. There's no you or me to be mean to. You're not being generous enough for me to be mean to you. And if you are, too bad. That's your life. That's your karma. It's got nothing to do with me. Forgive yourself for your past actions. That's what we believe in Buddhism, whether you like it or not. We're on a journey to nowhere and it never ends. Okay, brother, fuck off. Come back soon. All my love. Our want to be better keeps us from being better, because the real gym that you need to go to, the real self-help exercise that you need to do, the real meditation that you need to do is just be the way that you are already, and to see through that, and to see through how problematic it is to fixate on that, and to want that, and to hold that, and to identify as that. You're hearing voices in your head? Who cares? What are you talking about? Nobody ever said that to anybody, and that's why we got all these crazy schizophrenics going around. You're not a destroyer, Ash. You're a punk. You're a pansy. You call me on WhatsApp or you shut that mouth up. Don't you ever claim to be a destroyer. I know it's tough. This is tough love. The best kind of love. Real love is tough. Dr. Rob, I was hoping we could go for a walk together. Shut the fuck up and go and meditate. Who the hell do you think you are? Stay away from me. That's love. You're not a child. Be innocent, be generous to the point, be vulnerable to the point where people are willing to take pity on you. Until then, don't expect anybody to be kind to you. You think this is real gold? You think I'm a dummy? Not wealthy enough to afford real gold. This is fake. Shut up, Sandy. Or whoever you are. Just shut your mouth. You call up and you be yourself and you be vulnerable. That's it. You have to look beyond the surface, deeper than the surface, deeper than the appearance. You didn't grow up in Buddhist culture. You can't consume it that way. Unless it's been created and facilitated to be consumed, to be prepared. You can't just eat anything. Who's Sandy? You have no idea. So how can you be rude to somebody that you have no idea who they are? How is that possible? You don't know who that person is. You don't know anything about them. That's the tough truth. It's like saying, why are you being rough with that person who's way, way stronger than you, or not even in the room with you? Why are you bullying that person that's 500 pounds bigger than you and more intelligent than you and more wise and compassionate to you? It's impossible to do that. It's impossible to know who Sandy is. Think about that. Oh, they're Sandy. They're the one who's saying those messages and has those profile pictures. That doesn't mean anything. Sandy could be a serial killer, a war criminal, a disingenuous freak. We have no idea who Sandy is. This isn't about Sandy. This is about the truth. You want to talk about Sandy, then go and ask them what their number is and call them and date them. Go meet up with them, get married to them. My advice, mind your own business. Or else. What the heck's going on? This isn't a dating app. Okay? If you're not interested in enlightenment and real meditation and Buddhism, if you're not interested in being seriously generous, then you're in the wrong place. Nobody cares who you are or what you're saying. You inflate your self-importance because you're addicted to the importance of self. This isn't your live stream. You look at the number of people who are here and you think, oh, people are going to see me and hear me. It's got nothing to do with you. My advice, don't trust any random people that you come across. My advice, turn off the comments. They're just distracting you. and giving you more reasons to reify your ego. Me? I trust people that make serious donations. I trust people that express their consistency of being involved, their consistency of vulnerability, their consistency of simplicity. People come in here and do their little ego dance. I couldn't give a fuck less. This has nothing to do with that. If you want to call right now. Call on WhatsApp right now, Ash. It's about fuck you, you're just another dummy. Get the fuck out. Leave me alone. That's what it's about. You think I like this? You think I like being in this way? You think I like live streaming? Well, that's what you think. Who cares? Make your own YouTube channel. Write a blog post. Go and report me to the subreddit of Buddhism on Reddit. Who cares? Somebody says that's a deep teaching. Buddha would be proud of you. But there's no information that would lead anyone to believe that you know anything about Buddhism or meditation. No offense. You're an unwanted guest. And that's a pretty stupid person to be. You think you're triggering me? You think you're getting a reaction out of me? Yeah, but I don't even believe in me. So what about that? We try to make everything about ourselves. If you make this about you or you make this about me, you're missing everything. So the least that I can do is tell you to go fuck yourself. I don't really mean that. What I'm trying to say is that I don't care what you think. And this isn't a place for you to platform what you think or what you believe. This is a place for people who are serious about enlightenment, non-duality, anatta, anicca, dukkha. And I'm sorry, but you have to be exceedingly generous to be here, or I'm not going to give you time of the day, because I just don't have time for that. It's not worth it for me. You want to ask a question, you want to connect, call in on WhatsApp. We can connect. There's just this kind of background thought that people have that, you know, I want to be an influencer or something like that. But this isn't about that. There's no such thing as humans. That's just another word for separation. There is no separation in this. And you're going to have to work with that. You're going to have to chew on that. You're going to have to be a person of depth, of sincerity, of heart in such a way where you can actually step on that stone. We can have a discussion, or we can have a debate, or whatever. You're not just going to disingenuous your way through this experience. I'm not going to allow it. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to kick you out with Buddha Fu. Okay? You know, you kind of have to accept, for some people, that you want to be here and you want to be around me when I don't want to be around you. And you know, you're going to have to digest that on a human level. That's not about this little fake story that you tell about me and you, but about yourself, where you're trying to force yourself to be with or be around someone that doesn't have any interest or want anything to do with you. So, you know, you can try to make it into something as much as you want that seems real externally. But it's still something that you have to deal with in yourself. And yes, it's disgusting, but we have to, as practitioners, be beyond that disgustingness. That sense of that's disgusting, it's a hate, it's an animosity, it's a frustration, it's a rejection. And nothing needs to be rejected in this. There's no need to reject anything. But it doesn't mean we're going to plant weeds around our blackberries unnecessarily. Okay, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you. And it's great to form these kind of connections, but we kind of have to understand that this is a dynamic process and a dynamic experience. You know what I mean? This is an evolving and changing experience of humanness. It's not just some retard live stream for us to disassociate in. I don't have any questions to ask anybody because I'm not a dunce. I might ask for something. I might ask my teacher for $1 million, or to tell me that I'm enlightened, or I might try to challenge my teacher in some way, see how they respond. But to actually have a real question, you have to be involved in a real practice. And I'm not involved in any real practice. To my chagrin, to my ego's chagrin. But I'm not against that, and I have a lot of experience with that, you know what I mean? Waiting for your call, Ash. We talk about generosity, your presence with your teacher, your presence with your loved one, your presence with yourself is generosity. You think you're untrusting. You think you're particular. Wait till you meet me. Wait till you meet yourself in a deeper way that's not just about consuming and thinking and jumping from one thing to another. That's a whole nother level of particular and wanting and avoiding and uncomfortable. And you have to go into that uncomfortableness to see how absolutely uncomfortable you is. There's no one particular way of teaching. America is a melting pot. So this is an unusual, unparticular way of sharing, not as much teaching. It takes a lot of generosity to be in the position of a teacher. So there might be individuals who are here now or who are often here that I can play the role of a teacher with, possibly, given the circumstance or the context. But overall, me live streaming is not, I'm not in a position to be a teacher. I can role play it. I can put myself in that position, but I've tried that. I've done that a lot, and I'm very unpleased with the results. So this is a better way from my perspective. Not that we should focus on results. Not that we should focus on anything. It's very difficult. It takes a lot of generosity, and this is one of the ways that's accessible to me, so I should be regaled and revered and commended for this, but I'm not a very amenable person. I don't like many people. I dislike many people. Especially if they consider themselves to be teachers and don't have their phone number posted on their website or on their YouTube channel. How dare you not be live streaming multiple hours a day as a spiritual teacher? They're not as generous as me. They're not as devoted as me. They're not as uncontrived as I am. I don't care if they've got a job that they work at. Go live and give me your phone number. And that's kind of how we are, isn't it? We're very arbitrary in how we make determinations and make distinctions about people and situations, and it's very impractical. It's just a way to bolster our ego. Don't think about anything. Don't think about anybody. Just go and see the moon or see the clouds or whatever. Just live your life. Live your life and leave me alone, for God's sakes. Leave me alone and give me everything that I want. What's so hard about that? No, I mean, look, these people, these spiritual teachers, they wouldn't dare to do this. They don't dare. Maybe they're too old, because we're working in different generations. So this is like third wave American Buddhism. You had first wave in kind of from the 1900s, 1950s. You got these teachers, and now they became the second wave. And they're all dying now, and so this is the third wave. Well, I'm going to pick up, Ash. Called a couple times. You trying to embarrass me? All right, first time caller. Let's talk to Ash. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, who's this?
Hey, it's Ash.
Your name is Ass?
No.
All right, Ash, give me a little bit of biography about yourself.
Like,
Get it together, buddy. Take a few deep breaths. You're having a panic attack. Not that big a deal.
again,
Tell me who you are.
I'm just a dude from the U.S. I mean, from Missouri actually, but
How old are you?
I'm 32,
You're the same age as me. When were you born?
1992.
Okay,
November 17th.
you're older than me. What job do you have?
Oh, really? Currently, I'm like a property management type of situation. It's like a cash-based situation where I help this guy
Okay.
take care of some properties and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, take care of the lawn and different like projects around the house and whatever property he has. And
All right, good.
I also volunteer at the local hospital here and
Wow,
different things like that. So
that's fantastic. And how did you come across
Yeah.
Dr. Rob?
well, I've been actually following you for I think probably 6 or 7 years. I think whenever you first started the channel, I don't know how long ago that was. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe more like 5 years. I don't know.
Yeah. And what's your take now with this transformation? Am I the same person? Have I changed? Have I lost my mind? What do you think is going on?
Oh no, you're still there. It's just that the online culture is just so toxic, and you're just reflecting that back at them, and it's really not.
And it's very
not you at all.
powerful.
I mean,
It's very
it
potent.
It is you.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's really insightful,
Yeah.
Ash. I'd agree. Yeah, it's a reflection. It's a much
Yeah.
needed reflection.
Right.
And if
And they're not- they're
I've
not
told
giving you-
people, Ash,
they're
I
not
tried to
giving you
tell people, I'm a hero. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think so too. And well, it's just about first of all being the hero of your own story,
yeah,
which you've already done many times over, I'm sure.
yeah,
And now you're just sharing it with other people, and you have been sharing it with other people for years, and it's just like they're not receiving it, and it's hard for people to understand. So it's easy to take a path that kind of makes you hostile and belligerent and stuff like this.
I
But
tell you what, I
that's
like
not the
this
real
Ash
deal.
guy. It's a good guy to have in your
Well,
corner.
thanks. Yeah.
And listen,
Um,
this guy's a volunteer at the hospital. So it's a lot of good character traits you have there.
Yeah.
So what can I do for you, Ash? This is the first time we're talking like this, so I mean, what do you think that I can do for you?
Oh, I'm not really looking for anything, to be honest. I just wanted to kind of call in and let you know I'm a real person and I do support you. Maybe not financially all the time because
It doesn't matter because
I got a lot
my
of stuff.
hunger, that's one of the really difficult things to beat. And that the wealthy people, they love to they love to hit you over the head with it, is that they got all this money and you want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never have to worry about money anymore. So that's going to take, I don't know, another year, I'd say, or even more than that to get over the whole money thing. But, the best way that people can support me is just by them being a part of this Sangha, this community of practice, because that really inspires me, and that, it supports them, and that's the most that I can get out of this, for those people to be supported.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're doing that. But with the whole YouTube situation, it's like, I mean, there are real people that are supporting you, like in the comments, but it's hard to really associate an actual sentient being with just text. So
yeah, well, it's nigh impossible, and there's all kinds of freaks out there that want to stalk or want to get involved, and they don't even know what they're doing, but they got a very high idea about themselves. And it's just like, that mentality of forcing yourself to be involved with someone who sincerely wants nothing to do with you is just something that people have to look into inside themselves. I mean, it's a really dangerous mentality. And they always want to bring it back to like this interpersonal story and make justifications and stuff. But look, if a woman, or I'm a very feminine man as much as I'm a very masculine man, if a woman doesn't want to be involved with you, go and fuck yourself. Get the hell away from that person. You know what I mean?
That's why I've been single for like 15 years.
Well, I'm not a dating coach, but I wish you luck in your relationship with yourself. That's the most important relationship we can be in.
Right. Yeah. We could definitely talk about all sorts of different subjects, but I'm not here to push a narrative, so,
Well, you just put the message out there. You just say, Dr. Rob's a great guy. He's very experienced. He's very worthy of offerings. And if you don't listen to him, then it's your own lacking. Could you say something like that for the group?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dr. Rob, Bonte, whatever
your name is,
associate with.
Yeah.
He's a real person. He requires everything any regular person needs. But I mean, he's gone through a lot of serious training, serious work that a lot of people don't really understand.
Yes.
7 years of monkhood is not a joke. It's not something to make fun of or discount or, whatever. It was a real thing. It happened. And generosity is something that permeates not only the person that you're giving to, but it definitely comes back around towards yourself, either directly financially in some way, or in most cases just spiritually.
Yeah.
You'll become more well endowed in certain ways.
And I can imbue items with spiritual power. I can do all kinds of special things. It's just, we don't have the context for that. But I'll imbue this spoon and I'll send it to you for a couple $100. You know what I mean? So think about that kind of stuff
Right.
too.
Yeah. I mean, the things that you've learned, that I don't have any. I can't speak on on Buddhism at all. I'm not a practicing Buddhist or anything. But I have studied a lot of different things. But you know, the practice of what you've done is really intense. As far as just sitting with certain things for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And you know, you have a lot of experience with that, and you know, you can do certain things once you've reached certain levels like that you've reached.
Yeah.
Whether people believe it or not, it doesn't matter. But I believe that you have achieved something. So.
Okay, Ash. Well, it's great to hear from you, and I hope sometime we'll be able to practice together, and you know, and to continue to practice together.
Absolutely. Be blessed.
Thank you, brother. Take care. Bye
You
bye.
too.
We're proving the haters wrong with the power of generosity. Anybody else want to call in and tell me how great I am, or tell me how horrible I am, or ask a question? The WhatsApp number's right there. We're here, Eli. We're here in Vietnam, and we're headed to Australia for a big Dharma disaster. And a lot of transformations on the way, a lot of developments on the way, a lot of big things are coming soon. So it's a very exciting time for the Monk Life Meditation Institute. And yeah, volunteering at the hospital is going to make you grounded. You know, doing good deeds is going to make you perceptive. So be like Ash. Get out there and volunteer. Get out there and do good deeds. Be a hero. Well, I've been on the move my entire life, basically. When I was growing up, my parents divorced when I was maybe like 3 years old. And I was very angry. I was so angry that apparently my mom took me to see a psychologist. And I don't know the details. Maybe I was given medication. I have very few memories from my youth, you know, my most integral youth. But I mean, I went to 6 or 7 different schools at least. And, you know, 8 or 10 different homes, you know, so I've always been on the move. And these past 7 years of being a monk, I've traveled all over the world, you know, to South Korea, to Taiwan, to Myanmar, to Sri Lanka, to Italy, to England, to Malaysia, to Singapore, to India, to Nepal, you know. So it's I haven't had a home or a place in so many ever, really. So that informs the flexibility of my identity as well, because when you're a young person, you know, you grow up with a single mother who's working all the time, and you're going to all these different schools. You don't get a chance to build up your identity, to create some kind of solid identity to base your self-dissolution on. So I had to create myself in being a Buddhist monk, and then, you know, being in this process of dissolving that self. And it's very subtle and it's integral. It takes time. There's no favorite place, you know, because this place of no place is without favoritism, you know, here and now, the hopeless now. Vietnam is one of my favorite places for sure. And South Korea is also a really good place, but expensive. So, you know, I'm truly an international man of mystery. And Our work here is to create and form spiritual community and to help people in setting standards and give people access to resources, and really for no purpose at all, for the purpose of purposelessness, and to experience that. It was very, very difficult for me to have a strong mind. I had a strong mind of self-torture. I had a strong mind of pushing myself into psychosis and depression. You know, I had a strong mind of not having access to happiness at all. And I had to dig myself out of the trench of self-deception and self-torture. You know, I used to often have dreams of being stuck and being tortured and torturing myself, experiences of that. And, you know, this is a really serious situation of self-transformation into self-disillusion. And there's really a lot to learn from it. There's a lot of value in it. You know, I'd love to collaborate with more people, but if they don't have a phone number that I can just call them on, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? Write an email? I can barely write my name. My handwriting's horrible. So you can role play as being a spiritual person, you can role play as being an enlightened person, but if you're not ready to step up to the plate and get your hands dirty and break your bat, then you're just as much a nobody as anybody else is, and that's kind of the point. You know, we're making friends along the way, deep spiritual friendships. You see these people, you hear about these people that go around and travel around the world, these Europeans or sometimes Americans. They stay in hostels and they go to different Koh Phangan and different, you know, Thailand and different places. They say, oh, I've made so many friends. You didn't make so many friends. You didn't make a single friend. You met a bunch of disassociated, disillusioned, drug addicted retards that don't know, that can't form friendships because they're too selfish. So, you know, that's a tough situation of the modern world, you know, but that's not my situation. So, you know, I'm a very powerful spiritual being, a very powerful spiritual entity, and anybody who comes across me should put a bunch of money in an envelope and give it to me. Allegorically, metaphorically, literally, spiritually, whatever. That's how we meet each other, through generosity, through sacrificing ourselves. That's the only way to make real friends. Okay, who do we got here? Who's this? Who's calling in here?
Hi, my name's Andrew. How's it going?
What can I do for you, Andrew? Where are you calling in from?
Chicago.
Have we spoke before?
No, I've no.
When did you come across this live stream? When did you come across Dr. Rob?
It's been a minute. I remember it must have been some number of months that I initially came across your channel, and I was like, yeah, this seems like a good idea to, you know, pay some attention to. And then I kind of just, every now and then, I would see one thing or, you know, something here and there, and I'd be like, oh, okay, this is pretty solid. And not until that damn, not until the whole Charlie Kirk thing happened, I came across you on TikTok Live doing the Charlie Kirk chant, and that resonated really solidly.
I should have done it more. I should have done it more. It's such a shame.
Yeah, no, honestly, because it felt so. Yeah, I find the most sort of, I guess, potent pulling out of you know, intense thought stream into oh shit yeah is when it just seems to line up with my mind enough, and it was I was just going through so much of the chatter online that like really like, yeah, oh shit, my brain is just going Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charlie Kirk, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was, kind of pulled me out of a pretty strong hole on that day. So, and since then I've kind of been, I guess, tuning in a little bit more often.
Well, what can I do for you today, brother?
I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I find myself often feeling like I don't even, like, anything that I'm gonna say is like gonna kind of come out of, you know, identity so much that it's like I almost don't feel like I should say much of anything.
Well, don't leave it at the should, because the should is just a part of the identity. So it comes back to the generosity, making the donation of sharing your experience or sharing your understanding or asking a question, you know, the best that you can, because even in a situation like this, it's not just about you or me. So we have an opportunity to give right now, because sometimes as well, like I'm saying things that don't apply to many people in the community. And if they received that as actually being applied to them, they would probably feel quite unsettled, or I would feel unsettled if they received it that way. So it's just going beyond ourselves and then giving, you know, whatever we can, whatever we have on offer. And if you can just give your practice, then that's the best of all. It's not really the best, but that's a very good way to do it also.
Yeah, I don't know if I have much of a practice. I kind of like, I feel like initially, I don't know how familiar you are with like sort of like Ram Dass or Eckhart Tolle, but those are two that sort of like, you know, very sort of Americanized lenses talking about sort of, you know, being present, a lot of, you know, Buddhism derived ways of thinking.
Charlie Kirk?
And no.
Ram Dass. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, him and like this other like German guy.
Wim Hof.
Actually, yeah, but not him. But he also showed up every now and then.
Yeah.
The breathing helped.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess I lack the discipline to quite like, you know, every morning just like sit still and like do that. It's sort of, I kind of just, you know, the moments of presence kind of just come when they do, especially as I try and sort of, you know, fill my psyche with just more of like, kind of similar to, I feel like Ram Dass does similar things to like what you do, like mechanically, it's like they're talking, you talk enough to get the mind hooked, and then, but then like what you're talking about brings me to presence, and then I'm like, oh, okay, it's like that's sort of, I guess, lulling into it by sort of like, okay, this is enough for like the distracted mind, I guess I want to say, to latch on to. That, I guess, is the closest thing to a practice that I have so far, is just, yeah, I guess listening to talks and all that.
Well, it's something that you kind of have to prepare vats of precursor. So you have to cultivate the willingness to give, to sacrifice, to practice generosity. And then at that time, or in that situation, there's an opportunity that's only accessible and only available according to your degree of willingness to be generous. And then you can get the result from that. You know, that's a natural insight situation. But the generosity is the most important ingredient. And thinking about that willingness to give. And if you can think about that in terms of others, then that's very, there's a lot to think about. If you just think about that in terms of yourself, it's very limited. You know, what's the point of just going on a walk for yourself? But if you have a friend or you have a community or something like that, well, there's all the more reason for you to go on that walk. Or to listen to a Dharma talk, or to try and teach, you know, to try and share, to try to call, to give in some way, not about getting. So this is the duality of getting versus giving. And giving is much more reliable, because you can only get for yourself. You can't get for somebody else. but you can give for everyone.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah. I don't think I realized, I guess, how how much that I needed to hear that, because I feel like often what I guess drew me to this kind of thing, it is out of, frankly, selfishness. It's, you know, you get anxiety and this and that, and I'm like, well, the presence just feels better. That's like half the bit. The majority of it has been like,
Well, self-orientation makes us ill. I talk about this sometimes, but evolutionarily, biologically, you know, I'm not a doctor for no reason. A human being alone most of their day or most of their life is, and especially having like the aspiration to be alone, the aspiration to be independent, is totally against our evolution. And you're bound to become in a state of deep depression, anxiety, confusion, complicated, non-practical thoughts, when you work so much and you reflect only so much on yourself. So that mindset to give puts us in community instantaneously, whereas the mindset to take removes us from community instantaneously. So it's all about the giving. And the natural meditation, or the real meditation, isn't you sitting there trying to get something or trying to experience something, but to move in the way of giving, to be in the way of giving, to be in the way of opening. And so that's the kind of difference. When I'm teaching or sharing or expressing in this way, it's a kind of giving. So it's actually, for most people, it removes them from the situation, especially people that are just scrolling. But when you're presenting in the mind of taking or holding or getting, people are much more comfortable with that. It's like the uncomfortableness of seeing a homeless person on the street, or seeing a person with a disability, or even seeing a child. You know, a lot of people don't like children. They feel very uncomfortable. It's also how uncomfortable you would be to approach a meditation retreat or something like that, because you're not going to be able to be in the way of getting during that. And when we look at it, our whole lives are about getting, and a very, very small portion of our lives is about giving. So the spiritual path is kind of to reverse that, and then we can get a lot more than we would expect by giving that way. We get everything. You know, if you're in the way of giving in the now, you get everything. You get absolution. And that absolution seems to be temporary, but that's just because you default into the habituation of getting again, and seeking again, and somewhere and something and someplace and some situation again. And we create these kind of caves and nests for getting. And then we forget our presence, our awareness, our access to absolution in the here and now. So you kind of, to get into the, you know, the Frank Sinatra of presence lifestyle, you're probably going to have to give a lot. It's also something that's happening naturally over time, just by getting old. But if you give some giving to that process, then it can become a whole different kind of thing. But it's a revolutionary normalcy. So it's actually not something special and crazy, but you can make it into something like that as well. But you need a lot of conditions. You know, so you can have like hypnotic, spiritual, hallucination, you know, monks or something like that. You know, that live in the 5D consciousness and do things like that. But it's founded in normalcy, but it's a revolutionary normalcy that kind of excludes the possibility of there being anything outside of what is already. But what is already is inclusive of anything and everything. There's not anything outside of what is already. Your whole life is just in this cup of cappuccino, whether you like it or not. And that's kind of the deepening and unfolding process, is whether you like it or not becomes your identity. And that's the compassion and wisdom. But that's, that's a fucking hard ask. Because shit sucks. The body sucks. The mind sucks. And if it's not your mind, it's going to be the mind of other people. That's why monks, traditionally live in the forest. Because you have to deal with the radio, the suffering, the greed, the anger, the delusion of the minds around you. Whereas when you're in the forest, you don't. But you'll still have to deal with the body, which can also be very unpleasant.
Yeah. I do feel I definitely understand the concept of like just being out in the forest, because it feels like, I often will feel like when I'm around other people is so far getting like, to a point of like fully centered of like, oh, okay, my sort of what seems to be all of my focus is on just like the sensation of like, the immediate moment. I struggle
What's your
to
job?
maintain that around people. I do like freelance videography.
Well, you need to come out here and make a movie with me sometime. I've been looking for a videographer.
No joke.
Yeah, of course. We can do something. We can make a trip to South Korea and spend 7 days wandering in the streets and bathing nude together and making a special production.
Huh. I will say I don't. Yeah, obstacles come up in my mind of like, oh, I don't have so many resources. I got to get a passport. Yeah, but like that would be doable. It's freelance, so I can
Well, put it in your
scheduling
piggy
aside,
bank.
that would
Put
be
it in
good.
your piggy bank, and who knows when it'll fall off the shelf, and you'll want to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Definitely. Yeah. I guess I kind of. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think the lack of like daily sitting is a bit of a detriment?
Well, it's kind of selfish. The daily sitting can be kind of selfish, because when you do that, you're probably going to feel better, just like if you were to eat healthier, or you were to watch, any kind of thing like that. It can be like a self-improvement tool. So experiment with it, But this is more concerned with wisdom than you like feeling better, because you talk about, well, I should be meditating every day. Well, imagine if it was 90 degrees every day and there was no AC. The last thing you're going to be thinking about is meditation. And that's the best time to meditate, because that's vipassana, because that's mindfulness with detachment of those phenomena, those unpleasantnesses. Probably if you get that idea you want to meditate every day, try to see about joining a meditation retreat to start. That might be able to jump kick your practice. I mean, I don't meditate every day. I don't do anything every day. I'm barely getting by. I can barely walk. So this is more wisdom oriented. But if you can meditate every day, that's going to mean that you're more perceptive and receptive to wisdom and to transforming your life in other ways that will be less oriented towards self-fixation.
Okay.
But whether you meditate every day or whatever, the now doesn't care about that. So
Right.
actually what the wisdom way, the vipassana way, or the Zen way is you actually give the blessing of neither meditation nor non-meditation in the now, with the everything, you know, and it's much more reliable to focus on the generosity, focus on the virtue, and through that be more meditative in the way that you live your life, and then through that you'd naturally find these moments where you meditate. And then it can take on a wisdom element. So my meditation is live streaming like this. My meditation is, you know, living my life, the disaster of my life. You know, and it comes back to that kind of constant remembering of presence.
Yeah. Because, yeah, at a certain point, it kind of just, yeah, it almost seems out of my hands, you know what I mean? Like, it'll show up when it shows up, but it won't be there when it's not.
And that it doesn't matter. It doesn't, see, that's the problem with the Wim Hof breathing and all that kind of stuff, is that there's this idea that those experiences are actually benefiting you in some way. And that can be very confusing. And that leads to, you know, like just the hundreds and the thousands of faux spiritual people that are doing Wim Hof and passing out in saunas because they're trying to release DMT in their brain. And those dudes are totally losers. They couldn't hold a candle to me. They're not even in the same dimension or the same realm as me. It doesn't matter how much they meditate a day, because they don't have insight and they're not concerned with insight. So I try to teach for people to be concerned with insight rather than concerned with having special meditation experiences. And if you want to have real meditation experiences, then you should receive guided meditations, teaching, be in community with someone who's been concerned with insight for decades, because that's on the table. So it's, you know, and it's not that you can't do that, just like it's not that you can't go for a jog every day. It's just that it can create a very confusing paradigm of fixating on experiences that actually are irrelevant to wisdom.
Yeah, because it's like I definitely find, you know, moments where I can get myself into presence. I view it as a very beneficial thing. It's like, oh, okay, I can, you know, the anxiety is gone. The sort of, you know, I definitely think I'm a sort of overthinker, and so like cloud of like getting stuck in it, it just gets, you know, I just feel like I get nowhere, and so the lack of that, I'm like, oh, this is amazing. But that sounds like,
well, it's you have to learn the art of oxymoronism, because we speak in these ways of self and I'm getting into presence, but the very nature of that presence is a lack of I. So you getting into that is oxymoronic. So you have to use the OxyClean of detachment on that experience of you being in presence. Otherwise, you're always going to be confused about you when it's totally unnecessary to be confused about you, especially when you is not there and it's just presence.
Yeah, because at that point, I don't feel like I'm saying anything. I feel like the only way that I know how to communicate is through that identity, I guess.
And you have to kind of bite the pill of the revolutionary tinge of being concerned with these teachings, that you're on a one-way ticket to who knows where, and it's going to happen at any moment. So it's not, you know, the modern spiritual teaching industrial complex is either about convincing people that they're enlightened or convincing people that there's a way for them to make themselves feel better. And that is a lot less viable than convincing people that they have an incredible capacity to help others or to make merits that aren't just about themselves. Because if you're just trying to make merits or make blessings by yourself and for yourself, that's very limited. If you open up that perspective to exploit, to make use of others to make merits, then your path is going to be much more covered in the jewels of community, awareness, and the teachings leading to awareness, coming from awareness or from no suffering, that have nothing to do with you. The more that your life doesn't have anything to do with you, the better your life will be in the best way, which is the way of detachment. Because the body is shit. The body's not good. The mind is shit. The mind is not good. But it's not bad either. So detachment is basically the answer. So you can start to use the shit to plant all these seeds that then bear fruit. And that's a much more realistic way to move forward. For me, at least, you know, I see community as being a lot more realistic than me figuring out my own life and living it through that. So the work that I'm doing now, in terms of my vision and my direction, is just about cultivating a space inside of myself that can be more inclusive for people who also want to cultivate a space inside of themselves. So space meeting space and supporting each other through that way.
Nice.
Because think about it, if it were up to you, if it were up to me, then I would be in control of you. Now, if we get some kind of interpersonal ideas going on, then we'll say, well, you know, I'm not really interested in that. But if we're talking about a blank slate, like another body, all I want to do is basically be in control of that body. Because I have this idea that what I want is right and that what I don't want is right. So we have to break down that self-entity into space to be in community that's concerned with no more suffering instead of concerned with selfishness or self-ideation. If we want to be in community, you know, and I think it's a very human need, and it's a part of the spiritual path as well.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just the Americanness of it, but I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of ego and a lot of community, at least in my experience, and so that has, I guess, sort of warded me off a bit.
Yeah.
But also, it's like I haven't exactly been in a whole lot of meditative communities to begin with, so that might be bit of a key detail.
Well, the other thing is the potentiality for newness that we're not remembering or accessing because of how entrenched we are in norms and traditions. This is what I do, this is where I live, this is the direction that I'm going in, etc., etc. And we have to give the irrelevance to that as much as we give the irrelevance to anything that comes up in our meditation. Irrelevance or forgiveness or seeing the interbeing of it, so that we, you know, so that this life can be a revolution or have a revelatory intent rather than an intent to just go back into the same things that we've been doing up to now, which don't work for us. So that's my position, you know, that's maybe a hard pill to swallow, but that's what I think is has a lot of potency in it. And that's what I'm concerned with, you know, is building in-depth community infrastructure for widespread generosity and mutual support.
Yeah, no, it definitely doesn't sound like a bad idea.
So we're waiting for our millionaire and billionaire donors to come in, but also it's not about getting somewhere, it's about realizing the depth of community that we're already in with everything. that's beyond ourselves. And that helps you to dissolve the notion of self that keeps tripping you up, to keep you locked in your room in your depression, or making you literally trip up while you're, mentally or physically, while you're walking around and, exploring your life. It's not necessarily our ideas about what we want and what we don't like that are interfering with the path as much as it is this tendency to revolve around the self. And when you stop needing to revolve around the self, then that suffering problem just it dissolves itself. That's why it's a very subtle and kind of long-term path, because it's dissolution of self, or those negative aspects of self, the clinging, contracting aspects of self that dissolve themselves through uninvolvement, through unassociation, rather than disassociation that perpetuates those things in different appearances that kind of cover up the underlying trauma basis, or fear basis, or greed basis. So what's next is nothing's next, and that's emptiness. And from
almost
that emptiness, that's where wonderful existence blooms and meets us where we already are. So if you don't like it, give it emptiness. If you like it, give it wonderful existence. And vice versa. Experiment with everything. Experience the wonderfulness of your suffering. That's the real higher mind. The wonderfulness of your broken identity, the wonderfulness of people's wrong views about you, or whatever. The wonderfulness of ugliness. I mean, where would you be without your pain?
Does that come with, I guess, sort of a lack of like conceptual thinking, or is it like any thinking at all?
It's just that our conceptual thinking has been relegated to self-fixated desire and fear. So conceptual thinking is fine as long as it's not just about our ego or ourself. Because that self is
not
just
tied to identity.
Pure dumbness, or pure selfishness, or pure greed, or pure anger, or pure delusion. The self is just irrelevant in everything. So you have to learn how to give the everything, or just give the everything. You can't just sit there meditating, or sit there trying to relax or make yourself feel really good, because you're going to have the same problem. You have to give.
Right.
Widen out, brighten out, beyond yourself. And you don't have to go anywhere to do that, but you also, there's absolutely zero reason or need to not go anywhere. So we have to bite into both the red and the blue pill when it comes to that.
Okay. Because I guess what comes up is like a fear of giving everything away, and then it's like, oh, and then I'm just, on the street or whatever, is kind of I guess seems to be the sticking point.
Well, that's the way that it is, so it doesn't matter if it's a sticking point or not. At the beginning, it feels uncomfortable, and then it feels more like the way that it is, and then it feels wonderful. It's like a gift to know about your emptiness or your impending doom. The emptiness of everything that you have. And then life can become this wonderful existence where there's no fear informing your decisions, because you will lose it whether you do it or you don't. There's nothing that you're going to be able to maintain or protect or keep. It's impossible to do that. So, but then we see, a lot of the things that we thought were important aren't actually that important. And then we can make use of them rather than being made use of by them. And then we learn through experience rather than just what we've heard or what we've believed or what we've thought about or what seems to be true. The vibrancy. The vibrancy of self-sacrifice. And the forgiveness of self-sacrifice as well, that is this total absolution. This total lacking of any ideal. Well, I need to take care of this, I need to take care of that. Well, too bad. Because the only thing that can be taken care of is the thing of right here and now. That's not what you think that it is. It's just a thought. But we may not be able to come to that true reasoning without a degree of concentration, but also a degree of challenging. So it's becomes kind of a conversation or a mutual exchange of generosity and self-sacrifice and challenge. Once you can see that everything about you, everything that is you, is challenging, you can dissolve it. But every time that it seems reasonable and that it's going to work out or you have hope about it, then you can't dissolve it because you've attached to it as being essential. But nothing is essential except what is. And what is as a thing is always changing. What is that's free of things apparently doesn't change. I mean, that's what they say. But we'll have to have some faith about that in the midst of our involvement and our frustration about, how shit our life is, which is fine. Who cares that you have a shitty life? I don't care. So you need to learn how to not care either. How to forgive the shittiness of your life and go into the vibrancy of direct experiencing. Whether you like it or not, nobody cares. It's not about whether you like it or not. It's about the lack of you in direct experiencing.
The lack of direct experiencing, or is it about the direct experiencing?
Whatever it is, just don't hold on to it.
Yeah.
Because that's going to diminish the vibrancy. But the process of holding on to it can also be an important kind of false vehicle that allows you to see the inefficacy, the impossibility of holding on to anything. Just like the Buddha himself, or Siddhartha Gautama himself before he became the Buddha, saw that all these deep meditation states don't get me nowhere. I'm still suffering when I come down from the high. You and me both, Siddhartha Gautama. So we got to take his advice or take his lived experience and then realize that we are the Buddha, or we are awareness, or there is no yesterday and tomorrow. And that's natural practice. That's real practice. And that's what is essential to the subtle dissolution of self that leads to realization, or that is realization. But that's a process, and it's not a process that can be forced through meditation or through, trying to deeply think about it or take LSD or whatever. The subtlety of the dissolution of what is already irrelevant to what is. And then, that just becomes more unbelievable. And then you stop relying on belief to identify what is. And then that total lack of belief means that there's nothing for the self to hold on to. There's nothing for the self to contrive itself into or to be of. I wish there was somebody to check my math. That's my selfishness, but also that's something we have to let go of as well, because there's nobody that can check your math. Somebody might really be kind and generous and want to help you out, but nobody can actually check that math except for the Buddha. Or except for awareness itself, and awareness itself probably isn't checking anything.
Yeah. I guess in a way, kind of, feel like I'm almost asking you to check my math of just like, hey, yeah.
Well, the most important thing is to increase your willingness to be concerned with this. Your openness to be concerned with this. Because the self doesn't want this. When the self gets closer to this, the self is screaming and yelling, trying to trigger you, whispering in your ear, leading you over here, leading you over there. And then it just never ends. It just spirals into madness or wrath or, deep suffering. So the problem isn't that you don't try enough. The problem is that you try too much. And then the meditation is teaching you to stop trying, teaching you how big of a problem trying is moment by moment. And yes, that's real meditation. That's natural meditation. But, you can't tell a morbidly obese person that they're going to be able to walk around and enjoy their lives if they don't put some effort into it.
Right. Yeah, because earlier you made a point about, I want to say it was like attachment and hope, and that was, it hit as like one of those like, oh yeah, fucking duh, like, but like, I guess it just needed to be put to me in a certain way, but yeah,
You just got to keep in mind what you're concerned with and let your life be the way that it is. I mean, that's very powerful. And the more that you generally stay concerned with that, the closer you can get to being discerning about that. So take the word enlightenment, take the word no more suffering, take the word real meditation, right? Take the word freedom. And your concern with that is, how deep you go into that concern is going to be according to your blessings, not according to your control. So you might not get very far this time around. But you can prepare yourself for the next life or the next situation when, you know, some monk comes knocking on your door and says, hey, you know, let's go for a walk. And speaking of that, I'm going to go walk to the toilet.
Okay.
You can give a little Dharma talk for the group on YouTube.
Okay, cool. I almost don't want to talk. I feel like, oh, there's such a spotlight, but it's like, what? Like 40 people in here right now or something? Last I checked. Oh my goodness. Yeah, kinda, I don't know. Like, who am I? Yeah, you give the Dharma talk. I don't know a damn thing, bro. I'm just over here. There was like some other guy on YouTube that looked enough like a monk that was like saying something like, oh, don't like, I don't know, somehow you doom, like if you don't, I don't even remember what it was, like if you don't get on the path like with like commitment or something to it, it's like you fuck something else up in like the long term like multi-life thing. I don't know, man. Should I look at the chat? Should I show the chat? Thank you for not sending me to a spiritual prison. I'll keep the yapping up. Yeah, 30 people, okay. That's true. Large variety of emojis, okay. I always thought the cat heart eyes was so weirdly specific.
What the hell's this guy talking about on my live stream? Let's get somebody else up here.
I know, right?
Nice to speak with you, brother. I wish you luck.
You too. Thank you so much.
And
thank you. You too.
You know, don't be shy to reach out anytime if you want to let me know how it's going. Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Really. Yeah. Thank you.
And please consider to make a donation today, brother.
Yeah.
I'll send you the PayPal. I'll send it to you. All right.
Okay. Right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
Bye bye. That's not Ash. That's another somebody. That's a new somebody. That's Andrew. You know, we say, please consider to make a donation. We also say, please consider to pick up the phone when I call. It's all good. Please consider about going to attend a meditation retreat. It's time to shine. It's not time to think. No, don't think about it, Aditya. Just call in. I want to check in with you about our Australian trip. I'm halfway hoping you don't go to that Vipassana meditation retreat so you can join me in our journeys across Australia. I'll need an Aboriginal on my team. Okay, brother.
Hey,
Where are you?
I'm back in Sydney now. I just landed this morning.
How does it feel to be... Oh my God. How does it feel to be back in the Golden Isles?
It feels good. I was watching like the land while we were landing, and I was thinking like, wow, there's so much just empty space. And I was thinking what you would be thinking when you were landing in Australia, and I was like, you're probably thinking like, this is some out in nowhere, like barely anyone lives here, like village area, which it's not, but that's what it looks like when you're landing.
Yeah. So have you heard back from the 10-day Vipassana group yet?
No, after filling out the applications and stuff, they ask you to kind of, they make you answer a few more questions in detail, and then they're like, look, if we haven't responded to you back in 2 weeks, just send us an email again, because we only process one application at a time.
Well, if you
So,
don't
yeah,
get
that's
into
that.
the retreat, you know, they're having those retreats all the time. So in a certain sense, it'd be better if you can follow and join with me. That'd be very helpful.
You know, there is a big part of me that wants to, you know, go on this voyage, because like there's kind of only one other option that I can think of, which is just stay at home. And like I quit my job a few months ago, and like I'm just not keen on getting a job right now, and I'm well within my rights to, you know, not do that because I have enough money.
Yeah.
But the one thing that makes me like really reluctant to leave the space I'm in right now is I really like to train jiu-jitsu, and I feel like going on a trip and leaving that for a while.
Well,
It's
I'm going to
just
go with
like
you.
a
I'm going to
big
come and
loss to
train
me.
jiu-jitsu with you.
Oh, you would?
Yeah, because we're going to be we're going to stay in Sydney for about a week or 2 weeks or something like that. We're not going to be in a hurry to get out of Sydney, so it's going to be like the middle of November before we figure out, you know, what our first stop is going to be. Maybe the first stop will be to go and see the clown, and to get the van, and then go on a road trip to Perth. And there's some big
Okay.
monasteries out there and over there, and you know, let's start by training the jiu-jitsu and visiting some of those Buddhist things in Sydney, and then we'll see where to go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. Because we have a place to stay. I guess it's like in the middle of Australia, where the van is going to be donated, and then we have a place to stay in, whoever joins, in Perth as well. So,
Okay. I haven't been to the middle of Australia, but based on what I've learned about the geography of Australia, there's like nothing there. It's like absolute scorching hot
well, that's what we're
desert.
looking for. You know, we can buy some water, and we can camp out in the bush. We can get a tent or some tents and things like that, you know, and just be out there for a little bit and get that experience, little camping trip kind of thing as well. So.
Okay. Because if you said Victoria Highlands, and I'm just assuming that's the state Victoria, that's more south of Sydney.
I don't know.
So I'm not sure.
I've got no idea, and that's a big part of the benefit of going on a trip like this as well, is going into the unknown, you know, and detaching from the known and the scheduled and the used to, and the vulnerability of that, you know, kind of being homeless for a little bit is very powerful experience.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I resonate with that, and like I've always told myself, like, even if, you know, like I didn't have too much money, or, you know, things didn't work out, I didn't get a job, like at least I own my car, so I always have the comfort of calling that a home.
What kind of car is it?
Volkswagen Golf.
Okay. Is it a Beetle?
It's small. No.
Or not a Beetle?
It's pretty small. It's like a it's a very common car in Europe. If you look it up, Volkswagen Golf will come up. But yeah, no, like I could maybe stay in it, but it would be called like a micro camper because it's very, very small.
Yeah.
I don't think 2 people would even be able to fit in it.
Well.
This is with the back seats folded down, and I would just chuck an air mattress there, which I actually have. And that's how I would live in it.
So did you have any question that you wanted to share that was coming up?
I usually have like this kind of emotional loop that I go on about, and you know, a part of me wants to ask about it, but then there's a part of me at the same time which is just like so reluctant to like talk about it because I don't even feel like talking about it is productive. But if you want to hear it, I'm happy to share.
I don't want to hear it, but let's try to listen together.
Okay. It's more so about this kind of like circumstance that I'm in, where, you know, I'm not working and I'm happy, I'm chilling, but like, you know, there's a lot of noise coming from like parents, my missus, especially my missus, because, you know, I've spent almost 4 years with her, and you know, I went on a trip to Vietnam with her, so like all these questions of like seriousness, kids, money, mortgage, house, you know, and I like to kind of, I gravitate towards this kind of pattern of just being like, hey, like, let's just, at the end of the day, like, we don't know, so let's just be here in the now and just like, not worry. Like, here in the now, we're safe, we're secure. Like, who knows what's going to happen in the future? Who knows if the entire system changes, or, you know, like, all we have is right here. And that's kind of where I like to take the conversation. But a lot of people kind of want this aspect of like certainty from me, which is like what are you going to do with your life? Like, where are you going? What's your plans? Like, and they even want me to kind of create like a blanket statement to describe the situation I'm in. They're like, so they always ask me things like, oh, so right now, are you just like figuring things out? And I don't even like to answer that question, because it's not even about figuring things out for me. And but, you know, like, all of this noise like gets to me, you know, and I feel this responsibility of having to provide like a kind of like security and certainty and stability to, like, you know, people around me. Like, my family's fine. Like, my mom and dad have enough money. They were going to pay off the house soon, whatever. My brother's also like relatively wealthy. Like, he's a doctor. My missus works in the bank. But then here I am just like chilling. Like, you know, I've never had this kind of opportunity in my life to just chill, but I kind of feel this like fire that I need to be doing something, and I'm more than happy to do something, and I want to give. And when I reflect back on the jobs I enjoyed the most, they were all like service to others, like working in Subway, which is like a fast food chain where you make like sandwiches. Like, I always enjoyed helping like every single like customer, and I've learned that that's actually not common. With people don't actually enjoy those kinds of jobs. Like, even my partner, when she worked in retail, like, she would always try and gauge whether someone's like worth giving her like care and generosity to, and all that kind of like mental combat. But I always enjoyed like helping people, so that's an aspect I want to do. But then I also just hate this idea of like 9 to 5, and I've done a bit of that, you know. I did my first like 9 to 5 job was door-to-door sales, and then I worked for like a tech startup, which was like an office job. But yeah, I just hate sitting in front of the computer. It just feels unfulfilling.
Sure.
So I just quit, and then here I am. This is where I am. This is my situation. So Yeah, my question is not so much a question, but that's my situation, and I feel this tendency to problem solve, but I also feel this reluctancy to pursue that emotional loop over and over again.
Well, it's a story of yourself, which is an illusion. But factually, for other people, the story of yourself being an illusion is irrelevant to their selves. So a very important teaching is not being in a hurry. So you need to exercise not being in a hurry, concerned with not being anybody. And getting some more experience with that should inform your capacity to be responsible for these people that you care about. Because you can't just go around trying to convince other people about non-self, because you've gotten yourself factually involved with them, for them. So it doesn't matter what you think about there not being a self, factually for them, there's a situation that's going on. So you can get yourself involved with situationlessness, but you can't get them involved with it. So, this trip may be a good opportunity for you to explore a little bit of that, because, I have a lot of experience with not really going in any direction and having no foundation for my life. Because as a monk, you're very supported to do that for the rest of your life. You don't have to think about it. You just have to be in the way. So I hope I'll be able to share some of that and transmit some of that to you. But for most people, we are going to want to live a life as an individual with relationships, and in community. So it's not the thoughts about you not being someone, it's more like a realization that you have experience with, but it's you having experience with the lack of yourself. And then you bring that into the relative. So the deeper your experience with the absolute and contexts that facilitate and are open to the absolute, the more that you'll be able to bring that into the relative in a way that relates to those people, not in a way that tries to convert or convince those people of something. Because it's not about convincing anybody of something,
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have time, and so in like the world that you're involved with right now, there's no such thing as not being in a hurry. Unless maybe you're a millionaire or a billionaire, so you're driving a Rolls Royce, so how dare those people talk to you about anything? But as a normal person in that world, there's so much energy of being in a hurry and doing this and doing that. So getting some experience with not having anything to do and just facing yourself in that, it could make a big difference, or seem to make a big difference. But it doesn't matter what we want, and that's our willingness to give up what we want, and the thoughts that we deem as important is going into the direct experiencing. But it's not someone that's going into that direct experiencing. It's more like direct experiencing seems to be going into someone, and through that dissolving someone. So we have to be willing to dissolve someone. We have to be open to that. So that we can get a big win, So that we can really get what we want, we have to sacrifice what we want. Because what we really want is already here. What's really longed for is already. What's really desired is screaming in our ears and dancing in front of our eyes. We just have to open our ears and eyes wide enough to receive that. And then the self and all those thoughts about differences and situations, etc., can dissolve of their own power. Put yourself outside of yourself so that you can have a little bit of peace that's free from all of your self-based thinking. Because the self-based thinking is very convincing. So you have to kind of put yourself outside to have the perspective that's irrelevant to that thinking. How is what's the data plan situation out there and the 5G and 4G situation out there for a SIM card?
See, look, I live in like the data I'm using, it's called Boost, and it's only like a few $100s for like a year. And I get like a couple 100 gigs, which is more than enough for me. And it covers me well when I'm in the suburbs, cities, whatever, but in the outback, like, I'm not sure. Because you have to remember that Australia has a population of, 25 million? But it's all on the edges of the continent, not the middle. So there's probably not a lot of population there. And I've even heard, like, the fuel, the further away you get from the edges, the fuel is worse as well. Because they just, like, try and sell it cheaper or do whatever they can to make more money. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind.
Yeah, somebody mentioned Starlink. Maybe we can put a Starlink on top of that blue van.
Yeah. Honestly, that would work potentially. I have also heard of that. My one of my former colleagues, he was moving out some remote area, out in like the forest or whatever, and he said that's his plan for Wi-Fi. And apparently, like, Starlink is a lot faster than a lot of the generic like data plans you can get. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What's your like preference in terms of like food?
Anything. We can eat anything. We can do anything. We can try anything. We can do anything as long as we can detach from that thing. As long as we can stop thinking about that thought, we can think anything. Otherwise, it'll be problematic and confusing.
Yeah, that's kind of like a obsession I have is with food, and I think I've gotten significantly better at it because I've kind of stopped putting a lot of pressure on myself in what I have to eat and how it has to look and how much protein it has and whatnot. But I was raised vegetarian, and then like when I went to uni, I tried to like eat meat because I felt like that's the best next step. But it never like resonated, and it felt like such like it there was like such a big like disconnect, and like it felt so unaligned, like the taste and all of that. And I don't know, I think I just easily get very overstimulated because I just have like a sensitive nervous system, or that's what I say to myself at least. So yeah, it just never resonated. But then I went back and I eat mostly like vegetarian. I ate a lot of eggs in Vietnam, and that was okay. But like if I was ever in a situation where I have to eat meat, I feel like it's a big struggle for me.
Great. Yeah,
Not
vegetarian.
because I have any aversion to it. It's just like I physically feel like it's like it'll burn me out.
Yeah, me too. I also demand vegetarian meals in Australia. And smoothies and, fasting as well. Maybe we can do some fasting. That'd be good too, especially in the outback. So, the most important thing is the mystery.
How would you suggest one should approach that mystery? Because instinctively, I would approach it with, a sense of like fear or instability, but at the same time acknowledging the potential for like
Well,
miracles.
these kinds of, yeah, and these kinds of trips and activities are really beneficial because you get to put your entire life down for a period of time and basically just like follow the leader. But the leader is the generosity. So that, like, the willingness to go to the next destination and give up the identity of being in control or doing for ourselves. So there's nothing that we're doing for ourselves in that way. It's all about the mindfulness and the detachment. And the joy of being, on a Dharma road trip, if it works out like that or whatever, is that the whole theme, we're not taking a road trip down the outback while we chug Fosters and live a good life, but it's all about the mindfulness and the detachment and the play as well, and the exploration. But the fear is just, it's a lack of faith in our capacity to be aware and not attached to things. So you get to experience your ability, especially when I first went on these kinds of trips, your ability to go through these mental stages or experiences and then to not hold on to them, because you're with other people who know how to do that, or at least who are willing to do that. And then over time, you get to meet your own willingness to do that, as well as develop faith and trust in other people's willingness to do that. It can take a long time. I mean, I remember the first time I went on a trip like that in Myanmar, and there's a lot of people that I didn't like, and situations that I felt were so stupid and incorrect and wrong. And then over time, I realized that the wrongness was in my resistance, not in those situations, not in what was happening, but in my resistance to it, I was making wrongness. And that the people who I was judging and, frustrated about was just because I couldn't detach from myself at that time. I couldn't see through myself at that time. So it gives you an opportunity to see through yourself because it's not about you. All that nature and all that happening, all that movement is just so clearly not about you. So there's an immersion of that does also come from like family, not so much family life, but more like being in the public, being in public situations, like in the city. But there's a much more subtle and transparent version of that comes through being concerned with the Dharma and in nature. And in these kind of unexplainable situations that aren't based on anything other than this wish to become enlightened and this wish to be free from attachment to thoughts. And you build up faith in that, and then you can build up mutual trust through independent faith in that. But it takes a little bit of time, But you get experience with it. It's really good. We will always look for excuses to perpetuate ourselves. So this is like no excuse to do anything. No excuse that allows you to do anything. But then naturally, when you can do anything, there's things that you wouldn't do and things that you would do. And so the exercise is learning how to use the power of doing what you wouldn't do as much as you know how to use the power of doing what you would do. So you're kind of equalizing the self's discrimination between what you would do and what you wouldn't do, what you'd prefer to do and what you would not prefer to do, so that you can eventually use the power of anything. Use the power of unpleasantness just as much as you know how to use the power of pleasantness. But mostly you have to detach. You have to detach from doing what you want to do. That's the most important thing that puts you into that position of undifferentiated presence. Presence that's not based on picking and choosing. Because we think that it's about something, or it's moving towards something, or it's moving away from something, but it's not about anything. So it's constantly coming back into that not being about anything. And that's always accessible. But when we're in the city or when we're in the midst of the activity, then it seems like it's about something. So we get caught up in that, like watching a movie or scrolling on TikTok. But when we're in the midst of something that is explicitly being about not being about something, that's where we can really exercise our practice of uninvolvement. We got somebody else calling in here, Aditya, so let me let you go.
All right. Speak to you soon.
Yeah.
See you.
See you soon. Hello?
Hi, Mom. It's Keisha. Nice to meet you.
Okay, what can I do for you, Acacia?
Well, I was interested in your practices and like it's very interesting to me how you're able to I don't know. I would like to know just a little bit about how I can, besides breathing in deeply and things like that, I can do. I'm very anxious all the time. And I just want to know about mindfulness so that I can be a better service to other people and to the world around me so I'm not affecting others and making their lives harder.
Well, these are just a lot of thoughts about you, and you don't really exist. So that not thinking and just seeing, or not thinking and just hearing, or not thinking and just experiencing your body, your heart beating, for example, that's really important. You have to learn how to start listening to yourself. Doesn't have anything to do with you. So your heartbeat doesn't have anything to do with your thoughts about things. Your breathing doesn't have anything to do with your thoughts about things. Your seeing, your hearing doesn't have anything to do with your thoughts about things. And it never will, and it never has. So just stepping back into that direct experiencing, that's not about you. Doesn't matter if you keeps coming up or your thoughts about things keeps coming up. You just return or go back to or allow yourself to remember that you're not in the business of believing in your thoughts at this time by going back to your breathing or experiencing your heart beating.
Okay.
But you can't do that. You can't do that. So it's a allowing that's before and beyond you. How could you do that if you don't exist? So we go back to that song, right? I'm allowing me to be me. I'm allowing me to be free. I'm allowing my power. I'm allowing my brilliance. I'm allowing my heart to shine so brightly. I'm allowing everything to just be as it comes to me in the right timing. So just allowing, and then, building up a new family. So you've got Uncle Dr. Rob, and now you want to bring in Granddaddy Ajahn Sumedho. You want to bring in Auntie Ayasoma, who's Ajahn Brahm's disciple.
Right.
And you want to start listening to these people instead of listening to yourself. Stop listening to yourself. Stop being the thinker for yourself. Nobody needs you to think about yourself. You don't need yourself to think about yourself. You just need to be open and to take refuge in the Sangha, the community, the people who know better than you. So detaching from your own understanding by taking refuge in the understanding of the others. The others that are the monks or nuns, etc. So you just do that. But you also can't do that. You'll never be able to do that. You'll just go into thinking and avoidance and seeking. So coming back to the allowing. Oh, that's Ajahn Sumedho. Okay, bing, bang, boom. Now I'm listening and I'm allowing. Oh, that's Ayasoma. I'm listening, I'm allowing. That's just a very reliable way to wipe your ass so that you don't stink. So that's good for everybody. That's good for you. That's good for the people who are around you, etc.
Thank you. Thank you. I have some family members that I think I should start listening to and people around me. So.
Well, you can listen to them, but this true listening is just listening. It's not about what you think about what they say. the relevance of what they say to you happens automatically. Just like your eyes see automatically, your ears hear automatically. You adding your thinking to it is not doing anybody any favors.
Okay.
So be as uninvolved with your thoughts as you possibly can.
Okay.
Be involved with your breathing. Be involved with your willingness to listen deeply.
Okay. I need to write this stuff down. But I have my pen, but I do have my pen.
Well, whatever you do, it's not going to work. So just go back into the allowing. Doesn't matter what you do. Just go back into the allowing. Now. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people are screaming. It doesn't matter if you're crazy. It doesn't matter if other people are crazy. That's why you listen to Ajahn Sumedho. You listen to Aya, whatever her name is. You listen to these people, not your crazy mind, not the crazy people around you.
Okay.
All right. That's
Thank
enough
you.
for now. I will send you the links for who you should listen to and take refuge in.
Okay. I appreciate you very much. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Try hard.
Very fast.
Try hard to
Okay.
listen, to focus.
I will. I promise.
Sit in meditation, seriously. Concentrate, focus on your breathing, and ignore every thought that you get. And go back to the breathing. Yeah. If you do it, your IQ score will raise by multiple points. But you need to be very serious about it. I'll send you some links. You need to listen to those teachers and practice with them. Okay?
Okay.
Hasta la vista. Be very, very serious. Bye-bye. We've had a lot of new callers today. It's great. Good job, everybody. Our time is coming to an end very shortly. Do we have any final questions? Do we have any final sharing of experience? It doesn't need to be easy. Let it be tough. Let it be hell. Let it be whatever it is. Unchanging soul is just a confusing interpretation. Not self is also interbeing, is also the lack of any entity, anything. And that lacking is not a thing. It's not even lacking. So that's the discrepancy. I am as a methodology is kind of stupid. What's I? What's am? So it's wordless. Of wordlessness. And yet it's speaking. But that appearance doesn't mean that it's a thing. It just means that it appears, or appears to appear. But in the true vision, there's no body, there's no mind, there's nothing, no things. You deal with toxic people by killing them or running away. And if you're not open to those things, then you kill them with kindness. You kill them with generosity. You kill them with forgiveness. There's a story of a woman who was trained by a meditation master, a Buddhist master, who had an abusive husband. And she showed him so much loving kindness that she cured him. Be open to everything that doesn't have a place. Anyways, when you start talking about something like that, you're talking about realization principles and realization practices. So it's not something that can be talked about lightly. Unless it is, then that's the way that it is. Whatever you call eternal soul or emptiness is irrelevant of itself. It cancels itself out. The dualities cancel each other out. Because it's neither that nor is it the other. That's still in the realm of dualities or things or appearances. And it's not those things either, right? It's Nagarjuna's 4 rejections. So it makes you like a tree, or it makes you like water. So what does a tree have to say about soul or self or no self? It's just nonsense. So many Buddhist masters, they say, be like a tree, be like a stump of wood. Arahatship, the highest ideal of certain traditions of Buddhism, is described to be as a dead stump. So all of the mentation about it is irrelevant. Every word cancels itself out automatically. But if you're talking about practice, then there are certain phrases, certain words that, are coming from that position, coming from that way of canceling out. So there can be a lot of practical efficacy in that. Anyways, any teacher worth their salt will just spin you some nonsense and tell you to get back to work. Whether that's digging a hole in the garden or washing their feet or whatever. You are the Buddha. You are the answer to the problem that doesn't exist. And we're involved in a lot of things. We have a lot of possessions, we have a lot of desires, we have a lot of fears, we have a lot of relationships. We have a lot of unnecessary ideation that leads to recurring dreams and recurring fixations and recurring directions that, you know, somehow make us miss out on the directionlessness of our nature. Because even to describe it in that way is kind of, as I think it was Ma Zu said, I say mind is Buddha because babies are crying. And then once they stop crying, I say, no mind, no Buddha. Get back to work. You don't actually say get back to work, but that may be practical for us if we're in that situation to be asking the question. And imagine if you could get to a place where the moment that your mind started crying, your mind started suffering, you could say, shut up, get back to work. And that means to get back into omniscience or awareness without fixation. Is there a donation that's going to come behind this call, Jean Sebastian? Somebody like Jean Sebastian should be able to make a substantial donation for my time, for my call. Please let me use the restroom, and then we will be back in a moment with a call from Jean Sebastian himself. Very exciting. Let's get some W's in the chat for Jean Sebastian. We'll be right back after I pee. But do you have a donation? And we're back, everybody. Here we go.
Oui, allô?
Bonjour.
You've picked up my French language, right?
Yeah, what can I do for you, Jean? Can you introduce yourself a little bit first?
Yeah, sure. My name is Jean Sebastien. I'm from the province of Quebec in Canada. I was born in there. And yeah, I'm a photographer, filmographer. Actually, I had a big car crash while I was working in the United States, and for the last 2 years, I've been working on trying to walk back again, to get back on my feet, and
Wow.
I've been Yeah, it's going. It
Congratulations.
was a testing. Thank you so much. Actually, this week I've been walking without a cane, so it was a good week. Very, very happy.
May you be healed. Teata beganze beganze ma beganze ranza zamunga de soa. Teata beganze ma beganze ranza zamunga de soa. Teata beganze ma beganze ranza zamunga de soa. Teata beganze ma beganze ranza zamunga de soa. All right. Go ahead. What's your question, Jean?
So much. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate. Very, very kind of you. I've been following for quite a while. I had a question concerning the trial of separation.
A trial of separation?
Yes, we call it trial of separation when, especially when we face the death of a beloved individual or pet in our lives.
Or the death of Aditya's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu career when he joins me on this trip. Go ahead.
Yeah. I wanted to know what's your point of view. What would you say to someone who lost a very, very close being in their life through that separation of death? I know what you're going to answer.
Well, no, because, the honesty of it is that I haven't experienced that yet. I've never experienced anyone beloved to me die. So I'll probably experience that when my grandma or my grandpa pass away, and they've been married for coming up on 60 years or something like that. So that's when I'll be going through that. And the truth is that it's a holy messenger event, pointing out the immediacy of loss, of that which could not be lost, And what that really is that it's a dissolution of a healthy attachment point. And that's the profound experience when we realize that our healthy attachments also have to be are also going to be lost. And that's when we get really serious about our practice, really serious about our deep looking. So having not experienced that, I imagine it's just like sickness. So that sickness is the best time to practice because it's the most difficult time to practice. The best things to sit and be with and face and endure are the most difficult things to sit with, to face and endure. And that's how we transform that energy of loss into the energy of freedom and the energy of insight. So the more that you can go into that processing, that's why it's a kind of a revelatory gift or a holy messenger event, because it's just undeniable. You can't think your way through it. You have to feel your way through it,
Yes. Very, very true. Absolutely. It's you have to you definitely have to let go. You have to conquer yourself. You have to bring yourself here now. There's no other way.
Well, it's it's an experience of choicelessness and enduring your lack of capacity to choose or control, to have or to get or to make it be the way that you want it to be. And everything in life is actually like that. We just don't realize it. So we keep perpetuating these false control cycles that actually don't lead us to the liberation that we're longing for, which is already what's here, what's in front of us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're here now. I mean, it's a crazy world, no doubt about it. For anyone who can observe from this space, I've been watching your content. It's do you have any project going further in what you're looking at with your work? Or sorry for my English, it's not always great, but
We're just continuing to build up the base. The project is limitless. So as much support as people can give, there's
okay.
more support that can be given, not just for myself, but for others as well. So, I'm looking at just doing more work online and also in person in this upcoming Australia trip. And it's all about building the community and the infrastructure of support for the long term. That's the most important thing. But any kind of financial contributions also go a long way as well during this time.
And I had a question while I was looking at your video a couple of minutes ago. I was thinking, I had a vision. I was like, I know that you have that monk spirit where you're traveling and you're free and you're still grounded in that space, right? Wherever you are grounded. But do you think of maybe with everything that's going on around the world, especially since 2020, do you have that feeling of maybe one day grounding yourself and building, let's say, some sort of a ashram or building a community that's more based on the values of what you're teaching?
Yeah,
and,
that's
Buddhist
the goal,
teaching, right?
That's the direction. That's the ultimate direction. But the amount of resources and funds that it takes to do that is immense, and also the capacity of the person leading or facilitating that. There's a kind of a need to be ready to be grounded in that kind of place, because I've been in that situation before where I wasn't fully ready to stay and be with people and stay there for the long term. So it's a process of becoming more open, and then you meet that exceeding generosity, and then that creates the necessity for doing what you've been preparing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, meeting the people that are on the same frequency as you are, where you don't have necessarily to be more open, but you have to stay yourself, and you meet those people that want to build with you, right? So you get that space. I don't know if you understand but because I've been involved in those, eco villages and stuff, right? And there's always that same style of energy around it where I'm like, no, that's not for me.
Well, these people are not trained, and they're not equipped to be leaders or facilitators.
Yeah.
And their scope is so limited, and so they're trying to stuff people into this very limited scope, and it just creates this contrived environment where the leadership is just for the sake of itself. So it'll take time, but I think I'm very open to that, and it's just going where the generosity is. It's like you're called out by the support of others, or you're called out by the willingness of someone else to give. And that's the best way to go about it. Not that we're meeting at this time and we're doing this practices together and we're trying to go along in this direction, but it's meeting each other through our willingness to give a lot and then see what happens, and building trust through that. It's like I've already been through the experience before of building trust through this appearance, and I was very unsatisfied by the results of the practitioners, even though it helped people feel good, but also disappointed by the results of the relationships that were built through that. So this is a more of an emphasis on a kind of uncontrived generosity that's not based in norms, and that has a very limitless perspective that's ready to receive major support for the long term. So that people who are maybe using this to practice seriously now, or using this as a place to practice generosity and make donations now, are kind of just preparing themselves, not necessarily for me or for what I want to do, but for them going deeper into their practices that is an unlimited direction. It's not like you're trying to find a landing zone or you're working up to a particular point. It's that it's already unlimited, and that the possibilities are unlimited, and there's so much capacity and need to help and to support and to give. And the people who survive and are staying in line with that are the people who will see what comes of that, you know, for the long term.
Absolutely.
It's
Those
very
flowers,
realistic.
you know.
It's very realistic, and it's very practical, and it's very outside of the norms of what people have experience with up to now. You know, this kind of limitless approach of doing good deeds with mindfulness and detachment, concerned with enlightenment, concerned with community, concerned with meeting the needs of others. And it's very there's no limit to the degree of what can be received in the scope of this intention. You know, so I'm also just, it's not really that I'm biding my time, but it's just being more open to being in that position to give completely and to receive completely, and then letting people know that this is possible.
Yes.
Yeah. But not possible according to their idealism about it, which is kind of what needs to get sanded off or burned out through, you know, let's call it time or consistency of being concerned with. Because it's not limited in any way that our idealism would make it be. Like it needs to be this particular kind of place, or it needs to happen at this particular kind of time, or it needs to have this particular kind of structure or these particular kind of people to be involved with it. It doesn't need any of that. So it's just how much we're willing to give now. And then we see what happens, you know. But that's definitely the long-term goal. One center, multiple centers, you know, in the US or in the West or in Asia that are available for everybody. It's just, I don't emphasize that because the amount of resources that's necessary to like put that into action are immense, and I'm not in a hurry to do anything like that. But that door is kind of wide open for the long term.
For sure.
And for the now as well.
So much, I mean, there's so much need right now, for sure. The more time's gonna go. I hate using the word time, but we have to use it. But the more we advance, for sure, it's gonna be more and more needed. And there's a calling for people to go in that direction. Either it's I'm just saying that on top of my head. Either it's a place near the Himalayas where you have a space where people just travel and they stumble upon your space. You know, I don't know. I'm just giving ideas like that.
Anywhere. You can do it anywhere. You can do it in Nepal. You can do it in Portland, Oregon. You can do it in LA. I mean, there's so many different options, but it's just the idealism that keeps us from giving and then creates a limit. It creates a certain kind of contrived condition to give. And we have to remove all contrived conditions to give.
It has to be the 0 point. It has to be the jewel of what you say, giving now, you know, giving now, but that energy of that project, whatever it is, but the energy, the jewel of it, what is left?
It's just expressing, it's just expressing self-sacrifice concerned with everyone based on what we have access to. So the main focus of the center is to provide people the opportunity to do good deeds limitlessly with mindfulness and detachment. You know, this is the mission of Tabarwa, of my master. So it's just that we're not used to giving like that. You see what I'm saying? Like in Myanmar, for example, in the Buddhist culture, which is very adjacent to what we're doing here, we just have cultural differences. People are donating land all the time to monks and nuns and this group and that group, for the purpose of making use of it to be concerned with enlightenment. But there's no specificity and there's no practicality without that degree of self-sacrifice and generosity. So your willingness, and it's kind of resonating with me even here and now, your willingness to give is what makes it practical, is what makes it realistic, not your willingness to get what you want out of it. That's what keeps it inaccessible. That's what keeps Nibbana to be inaccessible as well. So it's just a practical application of Nibbana, or generosity or detachment, that's interplaying and interdisciplinary with the relative and the absolute. So it's not any kind of, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a meditator, I really like this person, I'm involved with this, I'm involved with that, I'm on the board of this nonprofit. It has nothing to do with that. It's totally in line with self-sacrifice. And you may have some really great non-duality teachers or Buddhist teachers or whatever, but they have a different kind of scope of what they want to do. So they're limiting themselves. And the goal can be worked towards as a community by exercising your muscle of generosity, by making a donation to me as the teacher, or by making a donation by coming more often, practicing more seriously, looking into how you can make use of resources to, put forward what you've understood about this through generosity, through giving. But sometimes people try to do this and they try to co-opt their ego with it. So it's like, it needs to be a place that's like this, and it needs to happen at this time, and it needs to be that you need to be here, and all this kind of thing. And that's just, it never works like that, If you can't donate your house to be a meditation center because it's isolated or nobody can stay there or whatever, then you sell your house and you look to get a property somewhere else that's amenable to the members of the community. And the community is as accessible as you are in the process of self-sacrificing. And I've talked with people about this before, and I think they get me confused, but I can know you, I can trust you as much as you practice generosity. You may not have attended a bunch of intensive meditation retreats and have access to some insight or access to some kind of reliability based in meditative absorption. But what you do have access to is your resources, so we can meet each other or trust each other according to that self-sacrifice. Maybe it's a shame that it has to be that way, but that's just a cultural idea that we have.
Well, I like to point at what you're saying. Absolutely, like the way you're putting it, it's like, sometimes your best friend is the one you don't talk those good friends that you have that you talk once a year, and it's like, it's the energy that you have. Sorry for my English, sometimes it's not very good, but sometimes it's the people that are far from you that you don't see very often. Sometimes these people are your best friends, and you carry them all your life, and they're always present without always being there in your life. So those projects has to be in the same. When you're giving generosity, especially in a project like that, you have to give to give like the sun gives. This freedom of giving. I know it sounds poetic, and when you start to go into the real specification of business. Well, the people that have most success that I've seen in my life are the most generous individuals, especially in business. They are so generous, you have no idea. They are generous, they want the best for you, and it's not a game, it's real. You feel it. So whether you go into a monastic, you go to a monk ashram, wherever you go, I always sense those people who are very generous, truly generous. And these usually are the most successful individual. Either they are, like you're having a podcast, you're generous in the time that you're giving. You are very, very generous. You are real, you are raw, you know what I'm saying? You're saying the real things from your perspective, from your point of view. That's very specific, from a specific experience. That's very, 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 very powerful, because you went through that Buddhist monk lifestyle and now you're back in the world with that experience, which is very, very unique. And that gives you that perspective that not many people have. So the generosity that you give, for sure, you're gonna not, I don't want to use the word expect that, but you're gonna receive that because it's your frequency, right? You're gonna receive it from the people that you're gonna meet, wherever project you wanna have in the world.
So
whether it's the little, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
when we talk about, what are you going to do to make this vision happen, I'm going to keep doing what I can do because this is where my wealth is. If you know how to start a nonprofit, do it. And we will collaborate through your generosity. If you've got a bunch of money, donate it. You do that. And we'll collaborate through that. Tell me, you want me to spend my money on something to improve my services offered or whatever? Okay, you spend it on that. It's not interpersonal, it's not intercontractual, it's not what we expect from the other people. You do what you can do, and then you'll be met through that. Not expecting, me to meet you in your intention to give.
Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, it's like, I like to refer that to an agent. You're an artist and you have an agent, right? Like Jerry Maguire or whatever, that energy, right? You give because you want, not you want, but you're participating in something that's bigger than you, right? So because you have a vision.
Your want should be overshadowed by your busyness in giving. That's how you get the success or getting what you want. You get get what you want by overwhelming your want with your giving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm very generous at good ideas. I love brainstorming. I have that gift. That's my gift. My gift is visionary ideas all the time. That's what I love the most. So anyways, if, maybe we're going to talk another time for sure. If at some time in this God-given space, for brainstorming or whatever, I love giving ideas, and if that brings wealth to that individual, I'm very happy for them. Because when I give ideas, it's not necessarily for me to take them and bring them to fruition, but if the person feels it, then he's like, wow, feels the light in that idea, it's a gift. It's for them. If they want to act upon it, or if there's somebody coming into their life afterward to another chapter and brings another cornerstone to that idea, that brings synchronicity, well, we have a sign right there. So it's all about building slowly.
Yeah.
There's no, like you say, time frame. It's so organic. This is how you build relationships. A tree grows so slowly, but it's so strong and magnificent. There's that silence, and this is where we build relationship, especially in big project. It's in that silence, because when we build those trusting relationship in this silence, we build this bond, this trust, and then we can observe as a collective what's coming from the outside that's very noisy, right? And we can slowly, build whatever organically beautiful project that serves the world in many ways. So thank you for giving your time, like you are doing on YouTube, to the public. And it's all in your honor, brother.
Okay. Thank you very much. Was Germain or
Jean-Sébastien.
Jean-Sébastien.
Yeah.
Au revoir, Jean-Sébastien.
Yes.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you for your time, brother.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't think about it. Just do it. And if there's nothing to do, do it. Get your money up. Get your merits up. Listen to the Dharma so that you have something to give. Listen to the silence. Stop thinking. You want to donate some money? Go get some credit cards. Take out a loan. What do they say? They say debt's not real, right? So don't worry about it. Sure, it's a joke, but you're not going to see me complaining. Free money is free money. Look, let's get this straight. Hypothetically, I'm not here sharing my thoughts. I'm here teaching the Dharma. I'm here giving the greatest gift that can be given, the greatest generosity that can be practiced, the generosity of the Dharma. Is that true or not? Who knows? You will be limited to how much you can listen by how willing you are to stop talking to yourself and stop thinking about things. You can't magically become an expert in whatever. So don't try to magically become an expert. Sit here and meditate. Sit up straight. Learn how to meditate. Google how to meditate. When you come here, meditate. When you come here, focus. When you come here, call in on WhatsApp and share. And along the way, who knows what can happen. But don't overthink it. And don't give so much value to money. Money is 99% of the time worthless. Your bills are paid, you got Coca-Cola in the fridge. What are you thinking so much about money? Be like a crack addict looking for the rock. A crack addict looking for the rock doesn't knock on their next door neighbor's door and ask for money, and the next door neighbor says no, and then the crack addict goes back and watch YouTube videos. The crack addict needs money, needs crack. You want to help, you need to learn how to meditate. Don't ask me to pay for your rock. Get out there and find it. And then come in here and I'll tell you if it's good shit or not. Let's leave it there. May whatever blessings and goodness and meditativeness and awareness of presence and experience of not thinking that allows us to suffer less, may those blessings and good fortunes and just, we weren't doing bad things at least, so may that experience and may that openness to not doing bad things be offered and shared out towards all beings everywhere. May we all be at rest. May we all listen without thinking. May we all be fearless in the face of that which we cannot control. Sadhu. 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 Good luck out there, everybody. Take care.